You might be taking a pill every day because someone told you it would help, and yet lately you notice small things slipping away. Words you can't quite find, misplacing your keys more often, feeling foggier after dinner. I see this every week in my clinic, and it breaks my heart when a simple medication habit slowly steals pieces of who you are. I'm Dr. Linda Rose, and I've spent decades helping older adults hold on to their memory, their independence, and their spark. Today I want to talk to you like I would a neighbor. Calmly, plainly, and with real concern. There is one type of medication, commonly prescribed, often taken for years, that research links to worsening memory and a higher risk of dementia over time. This doesn't mean panic. It means pay attention and act. You deserve to understand what that medicine does, why it can be harmful over the long run, and what safe choices you can make with your doctor to protect your brain. I'll guide you through the science in simple language, share stories from patients who made small changes and reclaimed their clarity, and give you practical next steps you can discuss at your next appointment. My goal is to leave you feeling informed and empowered, not frightened. Before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, so you never miss a simple, science-backed health tip, designed especially for older adults like you. If you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback is invaluable and helps me improve these videos for your benefit. Now, let's begin. Medication type 1. The silent memory blocker. I want to start with the medication that quietly harms more brains than almost any other, the one I call the silent memory blocker. These are drugs that belong to a group known as anticholinergics. You may not recognize that word, but you've probably seen their names in your medicine cabinet. Certain allergy pills, bladder control tablets, antidepressants, and even motion sickness remedies. They work by blocking a chemical messenger in your brain called acetylcholine, a substance that helps your brain cells talk to each other. It's essential for learning, focus, and short-term memory. When this messenger is blocked day after day, year after year, your brain begins to slow down. The messages that should move quickly between brain cells start to fade like a weak radio signal. I remember one of my patients, a retired teacher in her 70s, who came to me worried because she was forgetting familiar names and losing her train of thought mid-sentence. She assumed it was normal aging, but when I reviewed her medications, I noticed two common culprits: a nighttime sleep aid and a bladder pill. Both had strong anticholinergic effects. We worked with her primary doctor to taper her off safely, and within weeks, her clarity improved. That moment reminded me how many people silently lose parts of themselves to pills they think are harmless. The tricky part is that these drugs don't feel dangerous at first. You might just notice mild drowsiness, dry mouth, or constipation, things easy to ignore. But deep inside, your brain is being asked to function with less and less acetylcholine. Studies from respected universities have shown that long-term use of these medications can increase the risk of mild cognitive impairment and even dementia. The danger isn't usually in one pill or 1 week of use. It's in the accumulation over months and years. Imagine a dimmer switch slowly turning down the brightness in a room. At first you can still see. But eventually, everything becomes a shadow. That's what happens in the brain when this chemical messenger is chronically blocked. As I tell my patients, the good news is you have choices. There are often safer, newer medications that don't affect acetylcholine so strongly. For example, some bladder medicines or allergy tablets now come in non-anticholinergic versions. Your pharmacist can check the list for you. Sometimes even a quick consultation reveals better options. You can also explore non-drug approaches, bladder training exercises, limiting caffeine and fluids before bed, or using gentle nasal rinses instead of allergy pills. These small lifestyle shifts can make a surprising difference when combined with smarter medication choices. Another thing I've noticed over the years is how often these drugs are prescribed together. An older adult may take a nighttime sleep pill, an antidepressant, and an over-the-counter cold medicine, all with anticholinergic properties. Each one adds a little more fog to the brain, like layering thin sheets of smoke until you can no longer see clearly. That's why I always encourage my viewers and patients to perform a simple medication review, at least once a year. Bring all your pills, even over-the-counter ones, to your doctor or pharmacist and ask, do any of these have anticholinergic effects? It's a question that could literally protect your memory. It's also important to remember that stopping these drugs suddenly can sometimes cause withdrawal symptoms or worsen the condition they were treating. So please, never stop a prescription on your own. The goal is to transition carefully under medical supervision. I often guide my patients through a gradual process, replacing one medication at a time, monitoring sleep, mood, and focus, and adjusting gently until the brain starts to wake up again. The joy on their faces when they realize their memory isn't gone, but recovering, that's the most rewarding part of my work. If you or someone you love has been feeling mentally slower, struggling to find words, or needing more reminders than before, take a closer look at your medication list. Sometimes the answer isn't in a new supplement or brain game. It's in removing what's quietly dulling your mind. Protecting your brain doesn't always require big changes. Sometimes, it starts with one simple question. Is this pill helping me or harming me? Your brain is your story. Your memories, your laughter, your wisdom. You've earned the right to protect it. And knowing about the silent memory blocker is the first powerful step toward doing just that. Medication type 2. The sleep pill that silently slows your brain. Sleep is one of the most precious gifts we can give our brains. Yet as we age, it often becomes harder to find. Many of my older patients tell me, Dr. Rose, I just can't fall asleep without my little white pill. And for a while, those sleep medications seem like a blessing. They quiet the mind, make the eyelids heavy, and bring relief after nights of tossing and turning. But over time, those same pills, especially the benzodiazepines and Z-drugs like zolpidem, often known as Ambien, can slowly turn from friend to foe. I've seen it more times than I can count. The very pill meant to help you rest ends up making your brain more tired, foggy, and forgetful in the long run. Here's what happens inside your brain. These medications work by slowing activity in the central nervous system. They help you relax and drift into sleep, but they also suppress deep, restorative sleep, the kind that clears toxins, builds memory, and resets the brain's circuits. You might fall asleep faster, but your brain doesn't reach the deep stages it needs to stay sharp. Over time, this leads to daytime drowsiness, reduced attention span, and slower thinking. I've had patients who said, I feel like I'm walking through fog all day, Dr. Rose. And often, that fog is the brain's cry for help. One of my patients, a lovely woman in her 70s, started taking a sleep pill after her husband passed away. At first, it seemed harmless. But as months went by, she began repeating stories, misplacing her keys, and losing interest in her favorite activities. Her daughter brought her to see me, worried it might be dementia. After reviewing her history, I gently explained that her medication could be contributing to her memory loss. We worked with her doctor to gradually reduce the dosage and replace it with non-drug sleep methods. Within 2 months, her mind was brighter, and she smiled again, saying, I feel like myself for the first time in years. The danger of these pills isn't only memory loss, it's also dependence. Your brain can get used to them, making it harder to fall asleep naturally without the pill. Many people describe it as a trap. You need it to sleep, but it leaves you feeling worse the next day. That cycle can quietly rob you of both rest and clarity. Research has shown that long-term use of sleep medications is linked with a higher risk of cognitive decline, falls, and even dementia. And yet, millions of older adults continue to rely on them simply because no one told them there's a better way. So, what can you do instead? First, remember that sleep can be retrained. Your brain's sleep rhythm is like a clock, and with gentle adjustments, it can find its natural rhythm again. I teach my patients to create a sleep ritual. Dimming the lights an hour before bed, turning off screens, and sipping something calming like warm milk or chamomile tea. If worries keep you awake, write them down on paper, telling your mind it's safe to rest now. Regular exercise, even a short evening walk, helps the body produce sleep hormones naturally. And a consistent bedtime is one of the most powerful sleep medicines you'll ever find. If you're already using a prescription sleep aid, please don't stop suddenly. These medications must be reduced slowly, under your doctor's care, to avoid rebound insomnia or withdrawal symptoms. What I often do is help patients replace them with safer, more natural options like melatonin, magnesium glycinate, or gentle herbal blends that support sleep without dulling the brain. Over time, your body remembers how to sleep on its own again, deeply and peacefully. It's also worth mentioning that poor sleep can sometimes be a symptom, not the problem itself. Anxiety, pain, or even certain medications can disrupt rest. By addressing those root causes, we can often restore sleep naturally. For example, a patient who wakes often at night might have untreated sleep apnea or nighttime reflux, both very treatable once identified. The goal is not just to make you sleep, but to help you wake up clear-minded, refreshed, and ready to live fully. I always remind my patients, your brain needs real sleep, not chemical sedation. The difference is profound. Real sleep repairs. Chemical sleep just numbs. So if you're relying on that little pill to get through the night, take this as a gentle nudge from me. There is hope beyond the bottle. When you protect your sleep naturally, you protect your brain's future. You deserve to wake up every morning with focus, memory, and joy, not fatigue and fog. Remember, the best sleep aid is a calm mind, a steady routine, and the confidence that your body still knows how to rest. Let's help it remember how. Medication type 3. The anxiety drug that ages your mind. Anxiety is one of those invisible weights that too many older adults carry in silence. You may not call it anxiety. You might just say you feel tense, worried, or restless. Many of my patients tell me, Dr. Rose, my heart races, and my thoughts won't stop at night. I just need something to calm me down. And so, their doctors prescribe what are known as anti-anxiety medications, most commonly benzodiazepines like lorazepam, diazepam, or clonazepam. They work quickly, and at first, they feel like magic. Within minutes, the mind slows down, the body relaxes, and the worries fade. But behind that short-term calm lies a long-term cost, one that quietly ages your brain. Here's what most people don't realize. These medications work by depressing the central nervous system, the same system that controls memory, attention, and learning. They dull the very parts of the brain that make you alert, curious, and emotionally balanced. When used for short periods, such as after surgery or during an acute crisis, they can be very helpful. But when they become part of daily life, they slowly start changing the way your brain functions. Over time, they can weaken neural connections, reduce the brain's ability to form new memories, and even shrink parts of the hippocampus, the region that stores your life's experiences. I remember a gentleman in his late 60s who came to see me after retiring. He had started taking a small dose of lorazepam every evening to take the edge off. He said it helped him relax and sleep, so he never thought of it as harmful. After a few years, though, he noticed something worrying. He couldn't remember details from conversations, felt detached in social settings, and described his mind as slowed down. When we reviewed his medication history, the long-term benzodiazepine use stood out. With the help of his physician, we developed a gradual taper plan and replaced it with mindfulness practices, light exercise, and natural relaxation supplements. 6 months later, he told me, Dr. Rose, I didn't realize how much that pill had stolen from me. His mind felt sharper, his energy returned, and he felt alive again. This kind of story isn't rare. These medications are designed for short-term relief, but they're often prescribed for months or even years, especially to older adults who are dealing with stress, grief, or insomnia. The problem is, your brain adapts to them quickly. It becomes dependent on the medication to feel calm, meaning that when you try to stop, your anxiety can return stronger than before. This creates a cycle of dependence that is hard to break. And over time, that constant sedation affects balance, coordination, and reaction time, increasing the risk of falls and accidents. Scientific studies have shown a strong connection between long-term benzodiazepine use and cognitive decline, including an increased risk of dementia. But beyond the research, I see it every day in real lives. Bright, intelligent people who begin to fade mentally not because of illness, but because of the medication meant to help them feel better. It's heartbreaking, but it's also reversible when we act early. So what's the alternative? The good news is that anxiety in older adults responds beautifully to non-drug approaches when done consistently. Gentle breathing exercises, short daily walks, and exposure to morning sunlight can calm the body's stress response naturally. Simple mindfulness habits, such as pausing to breathe deeply for a few minutes before reacting, can retrain the nervous system to feel safe again. Some of my patients find great relief through magnesium, ashwagandha, or L-theanine, natural compounds that relax the mind without sedating it. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can also help identify negative thought patterns and replace them with more empowering ones. I've watched many of my older patients regain confidence and peace through these tools, and it's truly life-changing. They rediscover that calm is something their own body can create, not just something that comes from a pill bottle. If you or someone you care about has been using anxiety medication for a long time, please don't feel guilty or ashamed. Most people start with good intentions and little guidance about the long-term effects. What matters now is understanding that you have the power to heal your brain and break the cycle safely. With your doctor's support, you can taper slowly and build new habits that bring peace naturally. The truth is, anxiety is not the enemy. It's a signal. It tells you something in your life or your body needs attention. When we listen with compassion and care for ourselves holistically, that anxious voice grows quieter. Your brain is capable of resilience, no matter your age. When you free it from the grip of sedating drugs, it begins to rebuild its strength and clarity. You deserve calm that comes from within, steady, natural, and sustainable. That's the kind of peace that keeps your brain young and your spirit alive. Medication type 4. The pain reliever that weakens brain signals. Pain is one of the hardest companions of aging. It shows up in the knees when you climb the stairs, in the back when you bend, or in the joints on cold mornings. And when it doesn't go away, many people understandably turn to pain relievers, pills that promise comfort and normalcy. But here's what I've learned in my years as a brain and aging specialist. While some pain medications bring temporary relief, certain types can slowly dull the brain's ability to think, feel, and respond clearly. These include strong prescription painkillers, particularly opioids like codeine, morphine, tramadol, or oxycodone. These medications are meant for short-term use, after surgery, injury, or acute illness. But when they're used for chronic pain, they can quietly interfere with the brain's communication network. Opioids bind to receptors in the brain that reduce the sensation of pain, but they also reduce alertness, memory, and emotional regulation. Over time, the brain becomes less responsive. It slows, fogs, and loses sharpness. I call this effect mental muffling, because that's exactly how patients describe it. As if their thoughts are wrapped in cotton, their emotions flattened, and their motivation weakened. I once treated a former construction worker in his early 70s who had been on painkillers for over a decade due to arthritis and back pain. He told me, "Dr. Rose, I can't focus anymore. I forget simple things, and I feel like I'm half awake all day." We discovered that his brain was essentially under a constant chemical haze. With careful collaboration with his pain specialist, we slowly reduced his opioid dosage, introduced physical therapy, and added natural anti-inflammatory strategies. Within 3 months, his mental clarity returned, and he told me with tears in his eyes, "I didn't realize how much life I'd been missing." Opioids affect the prefrontal cortex, which controls decision-making and attention, and the hippocampus, which manages memory. When those areas are numbed repeatedly, the brain's natural chemical balance, especially dopamine and serotonin, becomes disrupted. This not only weakens thinking but also contributes to mood changes, depression, and emotional detachment. Many of my patients describe feeling disconnected from joy, unable to laugh freely or feel motivated. That's the hidden cost of long-term painkiller use. It doesn't just dull the pain in your body, it can dull the joy in your soul. What makes this even more concerning is that, over time, the brain adjusts to these medications and demands higher doses to achieve the same effect. This is known as tolerance, and it creates a dangerous cycle. The more you take, the less effective it becomes, and the greater the risk to your brain. This is one reason why long-term users often report memory lapses, confusion, and mental fog. Studies now confirm that extended opioid use can increase the risk of cognitive decline and dementia, especially in older adults. But here's the hope I always share. Your brain is resilient. When we remove the chronic exposure to these chemicals and replace them with healthier strategies, the brain begins to wake up again. There are safer pain management approaches that don't sacrifice your clarity. Non-opioid medications like acetaminophen or certain topical creams can sometimes control pain effectively with fewer risks. And natural methods, such as gentle stretching, heat therapy, turmeric, omega-3 fatty acids, and acupuncture, can help reduce inflammation and improve mobility. Even simple movement, like water aerobics or walking, helps your body release its own natural painkillers called endorphins, which actually boost brain health rather than harm it. Another important piece is pain re-education. Over time, chronic pain rewires the brain's perception of discomfort, making it more sensitive to pain signals. Mind-body techniques like mindfulness meditation, deep breathing, and gratitude journaling can help turn down the volume of those pain signals. I've seen older adults who once relied on daily painkillers learn to manage their discomfort through relaxation and gentle exercise, and they often tell me their minds feel sharper and lighter than they have in years. If you're currently taking prescription painkillers, please don't stop them suddenly. These medications must be reduced gradually and always under medical supervision. The goal is not to suffer, but to transition toward treatments that support both your body and your mind. You deserve relief, but not at the cost of your memory or personality. Pain may be a part of aging, but mental fog doesn't have to be. Every day, you have the power to protect your brain by making small, informed choices. Whether it's asking your doctor about safer alternatives, exploring physical therapy, or simply reducing reliance on strong medications, each step counts. Your brain thrives on clarity, connection, and stimulation, and when pain is managed wisely, those gifts return naturally. Remember, the goal is not to live without pain, but to live with purpose, presence, and peace of mind. Your brain is your greatest ally. Treat it gently, and it will reward you with years of sharp thinking and joyful living. Medication Type 5. The allergy pill that steals clarity over time. Allergies can feel like a small nuisance, a stuffy nose here, a few sneezes there, but for many older adults, they become a daily struggle. The itchy eyes, the constant runny nose, and that tickle in the throat make you reach for the same solution you've trusted for years. The allergy pill. But here's the quiet truth few people know. Some of these common allergy medications can slowly drain your brain's sharpness, especially when used long-term. I call this one the allergy pill that steals clarity over time. Most of the problem lies in older first-generation antihistamines, such as diphenhydramine, often known as Benadryl, and chlorpheniramine. These medications were once the gold standard for relieving allergies, but they work by blocking histamine, a chemical that not only causes allergy symptoms but also helps your brain stay alert and focused. Unfortunately, these drugs also have strong anticholinergic effects, meaning they interfere with acetylcholine, the vital neurotransmitter responsible for memory and thinking. It's the same chemical we discussed earlier with the silent memory blocker. So when older adults take these allergy pills regularly, they are unknowingly adding another layer of confusion and forgetfulness to their days. I remember one of my patients, a cheerful grandmother in her late 70s, who came to me because she was feeling foggy and constantly tired. She had been taking an over-the-counter allergy pill every night for years to help her sleep, not realizing that it was actually a sedating antihistamine. When I explained that her medication could be the reason for her mental dullness, she was stunned. We replaced it with a modern non-sedating antihistamine like loratadine, adjusted her sleep routine, and within weeks, she felt sharper, more awake, and more engaged in conversations. She smiled one day and said, "Dr. Rose, I didn't know my allergy pill was stealing my mornings." These older antihistamines are sneaky because they are available without a prescription. People assume that if it's over the counter, it must be safe. But in reality, for older adults, these medications can pose serious risks. They cause drowsiness, confusion, blurred vision, constipation, and urinary retention. And when taken regularly, they increase the risk of falls, memory decline, and even dementia. The effect may be subtle at first. Maybe you start losing track of conversations, forgetting appointments, or feeling unusually tired. But it builds over time, especially if combined with other medications that also have anticholinergic properties. Another hidden danger is how many people use these allergy pills as sleep aids. The sedative side effect feels like an easy way to fall asleep, but it's not true sleep, it's sedation. It dulls your brain's nighttime repair process. When I ask patients how they feel the next day, they often say, groggy, forgetful, slow. That's because their brain was chemically quieted, not naturally restored. True sleep is the brain's cleansing cycle. It clears out toxins that build up during the day, including those linked to Alzheimer's disease. But these pills interfere with that cycle, quietly increasing your long-term risk. The good news is there are safer modern options that don't cross the blood-brain barrier as easily and therefore don't cause the same cognitive harm. These include second-generation antihistamines like cetirizine, loratadine, and fexofenadine. They relieve allergy symptoms without sedating the brain. I always advise my patients to switch to these newer options after consulting their doctor or pharmacist. Even better, I often recommend natural remedies that can complement medical treatment, such as saline nasal rinses, steam inhalation, using air purifiers, and adding foods rich in quercetin, like apples, onions, and green tea, to help reduce inflammation naturally. Hydration is another overlooked factor. Dehydration thickens mucus and worsens allergy symptoms, making you reach for more pills. Simply drinking more water and keeping the air in your home humidified can make a real difference. Small changes, done consistently, can reduce the need for constant medication, and that means less risk to your memory and mental clarity. If you've been using an allergy pill for years, don't panic. The effects can often be reversed once you stop or switch to safer alternatives. I've seen remarkable improvements in focus and alertness after patients simply stopped taking their nightly antihistamine. Within weeks, they began remembering names more easily, feeling motivated, and enjoying deeper, natural sleep. Always remember, my goal isn't to scare you, it's to empower you. Medications are tools, and like any tool, they can help or harm depending on how they're used. The key is awareness. Ask your doctor or pharmacist, does my allergy pill have anticholinergic effects? If the answer is yes, explore safer options together. You deserve to breathe clearly and think clearly too. Your brain has carried your memories, your stories, your laughter. It deserves protection as much as your body does. So the next time you reach for that familiar allergy pill, pause for a moment and think of your clarity, your conversations, your independence. Those are worth far more than a few hours of drowsy relief. Choose wisely, and your brain will thank you every morning you wake up sharp, calm, and clear. So, my dear friends, now you know, not every pill that helps the body is kind to the brain. Whether it's a memory blocker, a sleep aid, an anxiety drug, a pain reliever, or even an allergy pill. Each of these can slowly cloud your mind if used long-term without awareness. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. It's never too late to protect your brain. Your mind has an incredible ability to heal, adapt, and grow stronger when given the chance. I've seen older adults in their 70s and 80s regain focus, memory, and joy simply by making small, smart changes with the support of their doctors. If you recognize any of these medications in your daily routine, don't be afraid, just be informed. Have an open conversation with your healthcare provider. Ask questions, review your prescriptions, and never stop a medication suddenly without guidance. Knowledge and gentle action are the keys to protecting the clarity and confidence that make life meaningful. Remember, your brain is not just an organ. It's the keeper of your stories, your laughter, and your identity. You deserve to feel sharp, present, and fully alive in every moment you have ahead. I believe in your ability to make that happen, one choice at a time. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Zenior Life. And don't forget to tap the notification bell, so you never miss a science-backed health tip made just for you. You can also type, "I choose clarity," in the comments to let me know you're taking charge of your brain health today. Until next time, I'm Dr. Linda Rose, reminding you that your best years aren't behind you. They're right here, waiting for your mindful care. Stay sharp, stay kind, and keep shining.